Hey y'all, hi. So, quiet luxury is the term that has emerged to describe this fashion and lifestyle aesthetic that has, over the past few years, risen to prominence, become extremely coveted, and then become commodified and replicated across all levels of quality and accessibility with fanfare, which is so ironic because the definition of a piece of quiet luxury fashion is that it's quietly luxurious, meaning that it doesn't broadcast its brand name. It's visually understated, but it's made of top quality materials and it costs a lot. So an aggressively quiet luxury item in a fast fashion shop like this cream-colored knit sweater vest at H&M, that is almost the direct opposite of the entire foundation on which this trend supposedly rests. Quick rundown, the hallmarks of quiet luxury are no visible logos or monograms, neutral colors, beige, taupe, black, mocha, oatmeal, speckled oatmeal, understated, streamlined silhouettes that are cut in a fairly classic way. In theory, the goal of this aesthetic, or one of its goals, is to outlast trends or to be above trends. Very, very high quality materials and craftsmanship. So again, we're going for longevity and a very high price point. So a quintessential quiet luxury garment is like an unstructured blazer made of soft wool or linen, or an unlined double-faced cashmere coat. And the color is a natural taupe or like a dark, cool-toned brown. A quintessential quiet luxury accessory is like a pair of streamlined ankle boots made of buttery Italian leather, or a large, soft bag with no hardware. You get the idea. You recognize it. You already know. And with the focus on natural materials, quality materials, and craftsmanship, and with the clout of the trend, comes a very high price point. The pieces are luxury. It's right there in the name. So part of the aesthetic, like built into the aesthetic, is the fact that the pieces cost a lot. I even read this definition of quiet luxury at Fashion Times that said that a quiet luxury garment, like an unlined double-faced cashmere coat, for example, communicates wealth through fluid drape, meticulous artisanship, and the use of ultra-premium tactile fabrics. The project of the aesthetic is to communicate wealth. And it's just being communicated with the expensive materials instead of communicating wealth with like the flashiness of complexity or logos. One way to understand quiet luxury is to think of it as a conversation that's going on just within the sphere of luxury goods, like only within that sphere. So among people who buy and wear luxury goods as a matter of course, like people for whom it's normal to shop on Rodeo Drive and to own a collection of designer handbags, in that sphere, visible branding has for decades been quite usual. Part of the project. You know, you can tell it's a Louis Vuitton bag because the Louis Vuitton logo is all over the bag. Loud luxury. Vocal luxury. And the giants of luxury fashion like Prada and Gucci have regularly integrated that standard into their designs. And no one has really questioned that. But there is a crop of newer luxury labels like The Row making garments and accessories that are just as finely made and just as expensive, but you can't see the branding when you look. And the colors and the shapes are pretty understated too. Still luxury, but quiet. So among the people for whom this trend was launched, and really among the people who launched it, like who dreamed it up and launched it, in that sphere, quiet luxury is an answer to and an alternative to traditional luxury, specifically for people who have the means and the desire for luxury goods. So if you don't have the means and the desire for luxury goods, then you might think it doesn't concern you. But I would argue that it really, really does, because aesthetics affect our psychology. Aesthetic trends affect our psychology. And when we are seeing, as we are now seeing, a quiet luxury section in H&M in the mall, then yeah, suddenly we're all looped in. We're all looped into this conversation that's taking place among the richest of the rich, which is kind of a weird place to be. So let's discuss. Let's look at this vest, this quiet luxury style, fast fashion vest, sweater vest. It is made from acrylic and polyester yarn. If you start wearing it, if you buy it and start wearing it, it's going to immediately pill and get gross in that way that's kind of uncleanable, because that's what happens with plastic yarn. Weirdly, in the context of the store, like in the quiet luxury section of the fast fashion store in the mall, next to all the other sections that delineate like other trends that are occurring simultaneously. In that context, it really telegraphs temporary trend, not an aesthetic that will outlast trends. It's like embodied in this garment, in this location, the aesthetic is just one of many trends that you can choose to don temporarily because it's feeling really attractive to you right now for reasons that you're not examining too closely. And to do that will just cost you $30. Everything about it is the opposite of quiet luxury. Rather than being quiet, it's kind of bombastic about the style that it's leveraging. It's like, here I am, come and get me. Rather than being luxurious, it's cheap. Rather than being timeless, it's trendy. And rather than being made of quality materials with superior craftsmanship, it's made of plastic with dubious stitching, probably. The only thing it has in common with a luxury cashmere sweater vest is that it kind of looks like it. The color is similar and the silhouette is similar. It kind of looks like it. This is often, if not always, what's going on with fast fashion. Like fast fashion is cheaper copies of more expensive things. But in this case, it's particularly weird because the dominant quality of the quiet luxury aesthetic is the price, the value of the materials. So this imitation, if you really back up and look at the scope of the thing, this imitation feels like an inside joke. It's like everything that defines what it is supposed to be is missing. And yet there it is on the hanger for sale. It's a very weird and convoluted thing for luxury to trend at large, because what does it mean for being rich to be fashionable right now? Or is it just looking rich that is fashionable? It's weird. This is something I'm just guessing about because I'm not part of this group, but I imagine that in wealthy circles where everybody knows that everybody has means and everyone has luxury goods, I imagine that in those circles, dressing in quiet luxury or like embracing the quiet luxury aesthetic actually telegraphs a kind of modern groundedness and like a relaxed taste level compared to other kinds of luxury. It's like you can tell that my handbag cost thousands of dollars even though you can't see a label. So you theoretically can't be sure, but the quality is so high and the aesthetic is so unbothered and I'm so unbothered that it speaks for itself. In that group, I imagine it's not luxury or looking rich that's trending. It's not looking rich that's trending. It is looking understated that is trending. And in some cases, looking understated as a power move that's trending. But to people who aren't in those wealthy circles, quiet luxury looks like money. And so to the rest of us, with these aesthetics trending, luxury is trending, or the appearance of luxury is trending, looking rich. But can you truly look rich in something like this? Like an acrylic knit? It depends on the eye and the acuity and the knowledge of the person who sees you, which is true for all fashion, like all qualities of style, but it has a bizarre and really specific manifestation at the heart of quiet luxury. To explain more about that, let's look at another example. Here we have a true quiet luxury item, the Totem belted tote, and it has all of the hallmarks of quiet luxury. It has no visible logo. It's a neutral color. The quality of the material is through the roof. The craftsmanship, everything is truly luxurious. It's also a hyper minimal, streamlined silhouette that should stretch far style-wise, meaning it will go with a lot of different outfits now, and it will work for many years. In theory, it has that quality that we call timelessness. It also costs almost $1,200, so it has a moneyed vibe that is real. And here we have a very similar bag that's on sale at the Gap for $37. It's made of polyester. Aesthetically, it checks the same boxes. Very minimal, rendered in neutrals, no visible logo. But up close, you can probably feel and even see that it's not real suede and that the craftsmanship is basic. You know, if you touch it, you can feel that it's not luxury. A lot of people can probably tell just by looking, right? Right? It depends. Would you be able to tell? Probably. Your neighbor? It depends, right? Maybe not. My husband? I think so. I think he probably would be able to tell. But I think maybe neither of my parents, for example, just a random example, I think maybe neither of my parents would be able to tell just by looking, especially not just by looking at the pictures in isolation, which of these bags cost $1,200 and which costs $40. Quiet luxury pieces are understated, logo-free, made from exceptional materials, and in some places I read the phrase recognizable only to those who know what to look for, which is true, makes sense, but is also wild when you really think about it. Like, your $1,200 handbag is only recognizable to those who know what to look for, like who already knew what it was before they saw you carrying it. So for people buying the Totem tote, mostly so that other people will know that they bought the Totem tote, this is like a trend-chasing, wealth-based values system stripped down to its most basic elements, both aesthetically and practically. And weirdly, just to make it even weirder, super minimal items are kind of easier to imitate well. Like, you could probably tell the difference between the Quince bag that's inspired by the Row Park tote and the Row Park tote if you saw them side by side. But if you just see the Quince one, it's probably harder to spot it as an imitation of a high-end bag than it is to spot Quince pieces inspired by more complex bags, right? Like the Bottega Veneta Hop bag or the Loewe puzzle bags. Like, I can tell at a glance that this isn't a puzzle bag, but I can't be sure that this isn't the Park tote by the Row. So if you phrase that in reverse, then you could say that the more comprehensively a specimen of quiet luxury an item becomes, the more difficult it becomes to identify it as the genuine article. It is like a joke inside a joke inside a joke, a Gordian knot. It reminds me of the work of the artist Yves Klein, you know, the conceptual artist Yves Klein, as so many kind of trend and fashion abstractions do. A lot of you probably know in 1957, Yves Klein gave an exhibit of 11 different canvases, all exactly the same, and all of them were just coated in International Klein blue, this like brilliant blue pigment, all 11 exactly the same, but he priced them all wildly differently. A few years later, he started offering empty spaces around Paris for sale to buyers. So they would pay him in gold and he would hand over a certificate of ownership for this like empty space, selling nothingness for gold in an interaction that was only meaningful, like that only carried weight for the people involved, the people who were in the know. So this, what we're talking about today, it both is and isn't like that, right? Because the Totem suede tote is much more beautiful than the polyester version from the Gap. It's more valuable in every sense of the word. And it will age beautifully and have a long tail in your life. It'll be restorable and sellable and bequeathable to future generations. It's benefiting from all of the positive qualities of the quiet luxury trend. Simplicity, caliber, sturdiness. These are all qualities I'm constantly going on about on my channel about choosing quality over quantity in fashion. And they're also part of my value system, building my own wardrobe and furnishing my home, curating an aesthetic for myself. This is why it's really getting in amongst me, right? Because I do think that natural materials, quality craftsmanship, and balanced design are some of the best qualities that a garment or an accessory can have, because those are usually indicators that the piece piece will last longer, both physically because of its materials and aesthetically. Like it'll have longevity in your taste, in your life, stay in your favor even as your tastes evolve. And those qualities are definitely worth a higher price tag to me, as long as the thing that I'm buying is within my means. Because not only will its longevity help the piece pay for itself, like it'll lower the cost per wear, but those qualities will also make it more pleasurable to touch and wear and carry. I'll like it more. I will just like it more. And even beyond that, when a garment has these qualities, especially inspired by nature, something truly beautiful and in certain ways, it will sometimes have a charge, a kind of intentionality, sort of like a piece of art. And that charge in something that you really value and that you put on your body, it can't help but affect you. This is really complicating my scorn, what may have seemed like my scorn for quiet luxury. All of this is also true. A garment can't change your life. It can't like change everything about your life, but it can help you to feel more embodied, more confident. Sometimes I put something on at the last minute and it fills me with energy as I fly out the door. Sometimes a garment helps me feel peaceful, gentle, less attached to what other people think of me. And for me, in those cases, when that is happening with something that I own, the hallmarks of the quiet luxury trend, simplicity, fluidity, neutral colors, lush textures, sculptural sensibility, soft structure, a lack of branding, quality materials, craftsmanship, those hallmarks are usually in play. They work. So it's confusing because I value these traits, maybe cherish these traits, but the shape of the trend unsettles me. And the part that unsettles me is the part about communicating wealth through these traits, which I'm here to unpack. I'm going to unpack it, really the heart of what we're here to do today. But first, quickly, I want to give a huge thank you to Ultima Replenisher for sponsoring this video. There is nothing I love more than when a brand contacts me and I've already been obsessed with the product and using it independently for years, like I have with Ultima. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that hydration is like one of my major mundane life challenges. Something about me is that I do not love a drink of plain water. I don't know how people do this thing where they just drink a glass of water. If I don't take measures, make it yummy, make it special, make it a moment, then I just don't drink water and I get really sluggish and brain foggy. Ultima makes it yummy, makes it special, also has all 6 electrolytes, no sugar or artificial sweeteners. It's made with plant-based colors and flavors, and most importantly, it genuinely tastes good, and there are a ton of flavor options. I actually like them all. Today I'm drinking the lemon flavored one. I really like it because it reminds me of the lemonade of my childhood. Great for summer. And y'all, I cannot overstate the effect this has. When this is in my kitchen cabinet, I go from being a wayfish, dried up prune rattling around the house and yet declining to take a sip of plain water into an effortlessly hydrated, functioning person who loves to consume liquids. Literally for years it has been on our grocery list. I have been known to make an extra trip to the grocery store just to get it because I've run out. If this sounds like you, head to the link in the description box below to stay hydrated with Ultima Replenisher. And a huge thanks to Ultima. I am so very happy to be working together. So getting back to the juiciest part of this video, the traits of quiet luxury items are traits that I personally value because in my experience, choosing quality over quantity is so much more gratifying and stabilizing. And I have more success over time building an aesthetic when I hold on to that principle. But the trend places a huge emphasis on communicating wealth through those traits, which is unsettling to me and has been provoking me and continued to provoke me until I sat down to make this video. Here's why it unsettles me. Because quiet luxury is characterized not just by quality materials and longevity of its items, but also quite literally characterized by a subtle telegraphing of wealth. In a way, the trend at large, like the arrival, the swell of the trend, our group awareness of it, like the trend taking up residence in the zeitgeist and in all of our minds together, the trend is kind of speaking to us and saying, you can't have a quality over quantity lifestyle unless you are one of the 1%. Like, unless money is no object. And what's more, if you choose a personal style or a decor aesthetic that shows an appreciation for those things, like those traits, quality materials, longevity, subtlety of shape, natural colors and fibers. If you gravitate to that, if you manifest that, then you are either quietly bragging about being wealthy or you are pretending to be wealthy. Most of us aren't wealthy, but a lot of us appreciate the beauty of simplicity because it's like a universal tenet of aesthetics. Simplicity is beautiful and natural materials are beautiful. It's not the only thing that's beautiful, right? And like, these are not the only ways in which something can be beautiful. Chaos and color and power clashing are also magnificent. But this kind of simplicity is today's subject, and simplicity is also magnificent. Empirically, it is empirically effective. Handmade objects that call to and echo the natural world are universally, undeniably beautiful. But because of the quiet luxury trend and like the claim that the trend has made on those aesthetic qualities, we are currently living and dressing in a world where if you collect and wear things that are beautiful in that way, then you're like in drag as a wealthy person. You're so quiet luxury. It's very that, right? It's like you either look rich or look like you're trying to look rich. And ooh, I hate that. I think we all hate that. I mean, I don't want to speak for us all. I don't want to speak for all of you. But I get the sense that we are like, we didn't mean to do that. I think collectively we're like, wait, no, that's not what we meant. We like quality over quantity because we have climate anxiety and we don't want to keep trashing our stuff. We like minimalist design because it soothes our troubled souls, but we don't like this wealth drag. Like, we're not trying to look richer than we are. It's not cute and it doesn't feel cute, especially at a time when the wealthiest people on earth are doing such breathtakingly horrible things. And we are all so hyper aware of it. And it is weighing on us so heavily all the time. And I think that that is why we are seeing what we are seeing right now in fashion. A blend of quiet luxury, or what was quiet luxury, the artist formerly known as quiet luxury. A blend of that with like a bohemian aesthetic, with expressive, vintage-inspired styles. That blend is what defines this micro moment in fashion, like here in the summer of 2026. And I think this is why, because that which is bohemian is artistic without necessarily being moneyed. That which is vintage-inspired can come from a thrift shop. And that which is expressive disrupts the pall of sameness that had begun to settle over us because we took quiet luxury too far. For me personally, quiet luxury, before it was even called that, because it started trending, it started swelling long before it got labeled as that. I kind of think it started as modern organic home decor, which was so appealing at the beginning. Like, do you remember when cream-colored boucle furniture first started to appear? And it was just the most delicious thing because it was contemporary and had a sense of humor in a way. Like, furniture doesn't have to take itself too seriously, but it can still provide structurally what we require of furniture. But it was also grounded in the natural world. Like that boucle is woolly, it's textured. It felt like something designed, but something very real and grounding all at once. This kind of artistic minimalism, wabi-sabi minimalism, rich and nuanced minimalism, it allowed me to let go of an egoic need to always be making a splash with my makeup and my clothes, to just be here, right? Like, more adult, more streamlined, just be in my body. And it sort of aligned for me with the shift into a new phase of adulthood, into parenthood, and into middle age. It also aligned for me with the world opening back up again after it had been shut down for several years. And all of this is documented in the fashion videos on this channel, right? If you've been here for a while, then you know. You watched this happen, and maybe some version of it happened to you too. So it just feels frustrating and upsetting to have something with such an authentic foundation become labeled and codified and intertwined with projections of wealth and status. Something that was so lovely and so personal, taken and turned into a power move, right? Remember when I said that looking understated as a power move is what's trending? But for those of us who viscerally respond to this kind of beauty, save up for it, thrift for it, collect it, and cherish it, but aren't rich, it's like something has been taken away from us or forced on us, or both. It feels like these authentic and age-old aesthetic concepts are in danger of becoming tainted by the way that they are being leveraged for power. And it really shines a light on what a confusing time this is to be crafting an aesthetic for oneself. Because of the internet, we have endless choices. So you can choose wealthy looking beige neutrals, quiet luxury aesthetic and buy it all from Amazon, and your boucle furniture too. Or you can go spend tens of thousands of dollars at Rick Owens and Acne Studios and end up looking like you just crawled out of the apocalypse. Or vice versa, right? You can kind of craft any aesthetic at any price point as long as nobody's looking too closely at the materials or the quality of the stitching. And I wonder if on an energetic level, that's kind of where quiet luxury came from. Like on the level of the forces of society. It's like actual wealth, disproportionate wealth, becoming sentient and rising up. A huge money monster asserting itself and being like, this white t-shirt might look exactly like that white t-shirt, but it's not exactly like that when it's luxury. And you can really tell when you get up close, and it makes a huge difference. And you can't join this trend unless you have the money to buy in. Like a last ditch effort of the industry, maybe the fashion industry, or maybe it's bigger than that. A last ditch effort to assert that you really do need money to have aesthetics, like to have taste. When the truth is that you don't anymore because everything is so accessible. The opposite is actually what's true. What you need is taste and a point of view, and money can't actually buy that. But, and here we are again, at the crux of the matter, it is also true that poorly crafted clothing made of plastic fibers, that is generally a bad choice for your closet and for the planet. And it is empirically true that high quality natural fibers in fluid lines and organic colors, all of that makes for beautiful clothing and calming home environments. Soft tailoring melts the masculine into the feminine. Wood and wool and stone and leather are gorgeous, sturdy materials for furniture for 100 reasons that were true before quiet luxury ever trended and will continue to be true for years after it has stopped trending in this way. So we are left needing to once again refrain from throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And how do we do that? I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm making this video. I do have some ideas because this is clearly something I think about a lot. I think one fantastic path is to get excited about all of these really high quality garments, like beautifully designed and beautifully made things that we wouldn't be able to afford to buy new on the luxury market. Get excited about them trickling down to the secondhand market. Another path is to seek out the small brands that are aligned with these concepts aesthetically, but aren't part of the luxury market. Like it's not luxury stuff and it's not luxury prices. Small brands using quality materials and ethical production, good craftsmanship. If you buy their pieces new, they're still going to be a lot more expensive than the $30 vest at H&M because that's just the economics of the thing. It does cost a lot to make a piece of clothing with integrity. But a $200 sweater vest at Ozma is a far cry from a $2,000 sweater vest at the Row. And the qualities, the quietness of it all, the luxury of it all are essentially the same, or at least they are both stratospherically better than the $30 acrylic fast fashion version. I also think, and this is harder to articulate, but I'm going to try. I think that there's a way to interpret the act of selecting luxurious garments and items that isn't laced with those undertones of wealth. To deliberately build a life of beautiful things and a wardrobe of them that doesn't feel stiflingly moneyed. In this age of endless choices, this is actually something that I think about pretty frequently. Like, I think about this concept when I am shopping. I'll be shopping around for throw pillows. This is something I'm doing right now. Shopping around for throw pillows. And here's like a $50 throw pillow, and over here's a $95 throw pillow. I like them both. They're both well made. They're both pretty expensive. And then the $50 one, it looks like something that a rich person would buy, or like something that a rich person would have on their couch. It looks like it's trying to telegraph wealth. Whereas the $95 one, it's more expensive, but it's more relaxed. Both are luxurious. Both are expensive. This is an item that I'm hoping to keep for 10, 20 years, maybe a lifetime, and look at every day, right? I'm going to see it every day. I'm willing to pay more for the one that isn't noticeably trying to communicate wealth. Not way more, not beyond my budget. I'm just pointing out that the price of something doesn't always line up with what it projects about its own monetary value. I feel like that's a super surreal note on which to end. The spectacle of me buying a $95 throw pillow on the grounds that it doesn't look like it's trying to look expensive. But I think it says a lot about what the term quiet luxury has done to our brains and our collective sensibility around the aesthetics that reference nature. I'm out here looking for a quietly luxurious throw pillow that doesn't scream quiet luxury. And I guess I'll let you know when I find it. That's it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I really hope that you are appreciating yourself and taking extra good care of yourself today. Feeling kind of squinchy, feeling kind of sweaty. Hope I don't say anything to make the girlies mad. Here in my mushroom-colored knitwear, we can do it.